This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast. Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
On this episode of the Impressions Exchange Podcast, Senior Editor Tony McQuilkin speaks with Barbara Mazique, the Director of Printing and Mail Services at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. They discuss how she climbed the ladder to become director in an unexpected way, her biggest influences, and her experiences in the printing industry.
Well, I'm Tony McQuilkin, and I am here today with Barbara Mazique, the Director of Printing and Mail Services at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So welcome, Barbara, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and we are here because you have probably one of the more fascinating stories of kind of how you got into this industry, of people that I've talked to in many years. So I am excited to be able to tell your story. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, who are you and what do you like to do?
Well, I'm simply just Barbara. That's how my
There's no simple anything about you.
That's how my pastor refers to me. That's just simply Barbara. But I'm just a mom and a grandmother. I'm a mother of five. They range from ages, how old are they? 43 to 33. I have 11 grands. I think it's 5 girls and 6 boys. And they range in age.
A lot of grandkids.
Yeah, believe me, we know. They range in age from 20 to 3. So we have a vast range of ages going on. And I just like hanging out with family. That's the biggest of mine. You know, what I do is I travel a little bit with my husband. We like to travel. We like to just randomly pick states and countries to visit. And we have did that, and we enjoy doing that. And we're looking forward to doing more when I get ready to go home. But that's way down the road, way down. I found that out during COVID. I wasn't ready to go home.
It was a good wake-up call for a lot of us.
It
and
was.
I actually do like working.
Yeah, about after a week of that, I was like, okay, no retirement talk for me anymore. But other than that, yeah, my best friend is my 33-year-old daughter. That says a lot about me. And so that's about it. It really is. Other than work and family, that's it.
But I love to hear that because my mom is one of my best friends too. So it is, I totally get it.
Yeah, I constantly tell my daughter, you need to get a friend. Go get you some friends.
So I guess, like I said, you have a great story that, and that's kind of how this came about was, as I was telling other people about how great your story was. And so we had to get you on to chat about it in your own words a little bit.
Thank you.
So tell us your story. How did you get into print? Because it is not the usual path.
No, it's not. It's not at all. UAPB was actually, I think, my 3rd job, but my first full-time job. And I came here only expecting to work a year. I said, I'm gonna put in a year and I'm move on to bigger and better things. But God had a different plan. But I came here to work as a custodial worker. I had a friend girl, I was unemployed, and I had a friend that was a secretary at the facilitated management, physical plant, then we called it. Wow. And she said, hey, I got this, they have this position open, and if you're interested, you can come on out. I said, do I interview? She said, oh, no, I've already told them about you. You can come on in and fill out the application. And that's what I did. And I started working about 2 days from there. I cleaned up the cafeteria here on campus. And ironic enough, the new location that we just moved to and finished moving at the end of last month, it's the same building I started out working in.
Full circle.
The full circle, yeah. And so came out, went to worked for a year, and moved around different buildings on campus. Well, worked longer than a year, but moved around different buildings. Finally, I ended up in the administration building, which the printing services was located in the basement of that building during that time. And everybody knew everybody anyway. We're a small community here in Pine Bluff. So couple of nights. They had some huge runs that only 2 people at the time was working in printing services. You had a pressman and you had the supervisor. And they would, at that time, they had no color copies. Everything was black and white. I think their copies were even IBM, so that you know how far back it was. and, and so they had a huge run. I don't forgot what it was pertaining to. And they needed to stay and keep it going. So on the second night, I said, hey, just show me how to unjam the copier. I'll watch it for you. And so the supervisor at that time, Mrs. Ventris, she said, oh, I really appreciate that. And really, they gave me something to do after I was done with my job. And so I did it the first night, and she was so thankful. So a couple of nights later, she said, hey, Barbara, could you watch it again for us? I said, no problem. We did it. And so then it became like a thing, like if they had a big run, just go home. I got it. And so that took place. And so I learned how to unjam the copier, how to load the copier, all of that stuff on the fluke, just doing that. So when they had a position to come open a year later, a whole year.
So this was now 2 years after, you'd only originally planned to be there a year.
Well, no, actually, I missed some time in there, but me floating around to different buildings, I had actually been on campus then probably about 7 years.
Wow.
Maybe 5 or 7. I haven't actually looked into that, but somewhere in there though. And so she asked me, she said, hey, she said, I would like to hire you to come in for the position in printing services. Would you be interested? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I said, let me pray on this. I didn't want to make any hasty decisions, and jobs too hard to come by. I wanted to make sure I was getting into something I would enjoy, or at least like doing. And I knew that you would be responsible for getting things out. That was the only print shop the campus had or has. And so I talked to my husband about it, and he was like, well, I don't understand what the problem is. So went on and I took the job and enjoyed it. I mean, it's just been a growth. And that's how I actually so my first year in printing services was all voluntarily. Everything was volunteer. No extra salary, no anything like that. But I learned to like it because it changed so much. And one thing about working as a custodial worker, it's consistent. It stays the same. Nothing changes. You pick up the trash the same way, you dump the trash can the same way. But I was intrigued by that, and so that helped me out a lot.
Now, did you ever plan to, were you kind of thinking at that point that whether it was print or something else, was it still in your mind that eventually you would move on to something else, or had you just sort of settled into this, that was going to be your career, and then
Actually,
print sort of came and smacked you upside the head?
That one actually came and smacked me, but no, even when I was helping them, I never thought, oh, I'm gonna apply for a job in here. This is awesome. Never did I think that. I thought about it a little bit, but then started thinking, the responsibilities of that job. Like, do you really want that? And then I looked at, being a secretary, you have to know how to type fast. That wasn't working. And then they had to sit their desk too much. I talked too much for that. And so I looked into different jobs that I could do on this campus, and that just wasn't one of them. And so I haven't worked at any other position.
So how did you go even from that then to the director of the in-plan? I mean, that even is another huge leap in responsibility, from just working in the print shop to being the big boss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, things just come. I believe everything is a blessing. That's how I think. And so whether it's good or bad, you're learning from mistakes, and you're growing from those that are not mistakes. And I just been blessed. I mean, truly blessed to have individuals that not every supervisor I have trusted me to hold this role, but there has been individuals on this campus that has always seen potential in me, whether I was working as a janitor or whether I was working in print in the printing services. And listen, in printing services, I started out as printer 1, printer 2, printer 3, and then I went to manager, then I went to director. So it wasn't any boomerang effect where I was just tossed into a director because they had no one else. But I actually literally climbed the ladder to get to where I'm at. And so I had to prove myself at every level that you could do what you're supposed to be able to do. I actually was a pressman in printing services for a little while. I ran a 2-color press. So the saying all of that, it prepared me for this role because I know what you're supposed to be able to do it in my roles at printer 1, printer 2, printer 3, and manager. I know what those jobs require. I know the tasks that you have to put in for that. So for me, and I often tell people, I don't even know if I would trust myself evaluating my staff had I not gone through all of that, because it would be too difficult. Because if you don't know their job, how can you say they're doing it wrong?
It's funny in the how many people in the print industry, have that kind of, come up through the ranks that, I talk to a lot of even family career, printers that, they force their heirs and their kids to start
Right.
as pressmen for that exact reason that it's hard to tell somebody how to run a press if you've never run a press.
And you earn respect. You earn respect for that. I mean, it's easy to tell somebody what they're doing wrong. It's even harder to tell them how to fix that problem. So if you have some idea as to how that problem can be fixed, you are a plus to the game already.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
what have been some of the, you mentioned you had to climb the ladder. What are some of the biggest challenges that you had to face in your career, and how did you kind of overcome those?
Training. We're in a small area. There is no, we have another 2-year college here in the city. There is no training in our area for pressmen, print. On our campus, we have an art department, but what we try to get our art department to do is funnel their students through here, because you design for art and social media. Have 90% of the designers coming out of school now, they're not designing for print. So thank God for digital. If we had to go back to 4-color press or 5 or 6, oh my God, it'd be so many people out of jobs. But it's just the training and the knowledge base to pull from, and it's little to none. And then by the business being so competitive, people not willing to share. Now, our printing services was really, really blessed. One of our former pressmen, Mr. Tony Jones, his family owned a print shop here in our city. And his dad was a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he knew everything from designing to printing, and he had no problem sharing it with us. Anything we fell in, that because times are changing, we don't know anything. And he would offer classes to us, not necessarily class. We'll go up to his shop and we say, hey, we're having this problem with this. And Tony came to work for us. We lost our pressman, and he came to work with us. He had his family had their own print shop, but that's how helpful they were. And that's how blessed we were that he came over here and worked with us. And to this day, his brother works for another printing company here. Well, they print, but he works for another printing company here, and he's still very helpful. I can call Tony's brother anytime and ask him a question. It's not a problem at all. So we call them the Jones brothers. They're like our brothers. And that's how, I mean, the training is just, there's none. And to gain that knowledge, I didn't know where to go. So I started going to a lot of conferences, and they were like awesome. I mean, the wealth of the knowledge that was there, you didn't want to look too silly in the audience, but when somebody say something, I would just nod my head, but I was like, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking.
But what are some of the best conferences that you've been to that if you could go back and, advise yourself when you were first getting started, which are the conferences that you would say these are the ones you have to go do right away?
NECMS is first, my male side. They've been really good. And implant,
IPMA.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. That one's the best. That is the best. And the people are so nice. I mean, you ask a question you don't know, you say, hey, you're not giving anything back. You're just sucking them dry from their knowledge. And they just, hey, and then they'll tell you, hey, here's my card. When you get back to your office, if you find that you need another question, give me a call. Now, you don't find that everywhere. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
one, I think the best parts of the implant community is that, I don't think I've ever met an implant manager that wasn't willing to jump in and answer questions and help out. And,
Right.
just it's such a welcoming community.
They are. And then if you're looking for something that's not there, they'll tell you which one you need to go to. I'm like, oh, you are recommending that I go to another conference. My school only pays for one a year, right? But that's
So what are some of the biggest successes? If you had to look back over your entire print career, what would you say, what are you most proud of?
Oh, that is so hard for me. And I don't know why it's so hard, but that is so hard for me. But the thing I'm most proud of is the devoted mentality. You have to stay devoted to what you're doing. You have to put your all in it, even if it's not the best that someone else is doing. That's your best. And I think that's how my school has really that. I know you asked me about my what I felt was, but it's an overall thing. I think because my school accepts what I know, and I tell them up front what I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. That has been one of my biggest accomplishments is selling myself to my university, saying that I am here, I am going to get the job done, however I can get it done, just bear with me. And if it's something that I'm not doing, tell me what I need to do, and I'll get that done also. That's it.
So, who have been the biggest influences on your professional life? You've kind of alluded to a few people who have kind of, touched your career and helped you along. But if you had to point to one or two that were, kind of larger than life in that respect, who would it be?
I was pondering over this last night. I was like, I don't want to leave anybody out. But those that know. But my of course, my husband and my mother. Anytime I start feeling that like this is not for me, or they need someone better than me, I've always been told you're not brought anywhere without what you need. You just need to dig in and find what you have and give it to them. And that's my mom all the time. But Mrs. Totten, Willette Totten, she's the director of our not industrial technology, our IT department. And she was my first supervisor that gave me open range, made me think outside the box. She challenged me. I was so used to I was a manager, but I wasn't a leader. And she challenged me to become a leader, and she expected that. And she didn't walk around to find an issue. She walked around to find solutions, And I really admire her for that, because she was the first. I've had numerous supervisors in my years here, but she was the first supervisor that worked along beside me to better our service to the campus. And then I got Vice Chancellor Martin. I wish a light could glow around me when I call her name. It's very seldom that you can speak on your supervisors and say these are people who challenge you, who put you where you are, and you admire them for doing it, and they're your mentors. And Vice Chancellor Martin, I was thinking about this last night. Funny story. When Ms. Totten was my supervisor, and then Dr. Martin saw, well, Ms. Mazique, I'm going to make you the director. I was like, no. I need to be able to report to Ms. Totten so she can say, Barbara, that's not right, and I can fix it before it gets to you. So now there's no in-between person. So anyway, when I got the role, it was close to time for us to renew our contract for our copiers, and so had been talking to the Conica Minolta. That's who I love my copiers, and they had informed me that of the new cost and what it was going to take, and I told them all the bells and whistles I wanted and all that stuff. And so, of course, I knew what we paid in leases, but I never had to worry about signing off on the paperwork. That had been my problem. So they sent me the contract. I'm like, oh my goodness. I have to send this to Vice Chancellor Martin, who's over finance and administration. She doesn't play about the university's money. So I was like, So I text her about 4:30 and say, can we talk tomorrow or later? So she said, sure. I have a meeting tonight, but I can get back with you about 7:30. And that's the type of relationship you have. She didn't say, well, yeah, tomorrow morning at 10, I'll get back with you tonight if you want me to. Sure thing. So I sit up there and I thought about that thing and I was like, I don't know if I want to ask her for this much money. And she just gave me the position. we won't do that. So I text her and say, that's okay. So she calls me about 30 minutes later. She said, Miss Barbara, is everything all right? She said, I didn't want you to think that I didn't want to talk to you. She felt she had did something wrong. I say, no. I said, the thing is, and I went on, told the whole story about the lease. She said, well, no, if that's what you need, and you've gotten everything on there that you need. No, ma'am, that's not a problem. Just do the purchase order. She said, Miss Barbara, what was the problem? I said, I've never had to ask anybody for that type of money. So she said, well, welcome to the director's world.
They threw you right in the deep end in that regard. Like, here's the director, here's the money.
Right. So she said, only thing I asked is you be cautious of your budget, and everything is good. And so it's just been that type of relationship from that point on. I mean, I've had some situations where we've been directors report, and I said, well, next fiscal year I'm looking at doing this. She said, why are you not looking at doing it this fiscal year? I said, well, money's kind of funny. She said, well, send me a memo of what you need and we can work that out. I'm like, I've never experienced this. I wish my husband was more like this.
Well, I wish everything in life that you could just, I'd like to buy this. Okay, here you go.
Exactly. But those two women have been, I mean, everything to me as far as my growth in this title and on this campus. Those two have shown me that they believe in me. I knew I could do it, but sometimes when you don't have that foundation, you don't know how to operate on it. So, but yeah, it's been awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, having people that can lift you up and kind of, give you that leg up when you need it along your career, I think it makes all the difference.
It does.
So switching gears slightly, I know that the university is a historically Black college and university, HBCU. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to you personally to be working at a university with that distinction?
Yeah, I can. Being a part of this school, this community is second to none. I mean, here kids get to have their dean's cell phones in case they have a problem. You don't find that everywhere. And I had my daughter graduated here and got her degree. My son went to school here, so I have a lot of respect for this school, and being a part of the historical Black college. It's special. The experience for me has been like more like a family. You don't know everybody, but when you come across or encounter a department or individual, your heart goes out, and your whole goal is to do whatever can to make that department or that person look good. If you can, whatever you can do, that's how it operates here. Working here means that I'm contributing. I'm contributing to the legacy of the university. I'm empowering men and women who are walking through this campus. A lot of times when kids come to my mail center window and they're looking for different things or expecting things in a fast pace, I have to slow them down. I have to remind them. And I take on that mother role then. And they looking at me all crazy then, but I take on that role like, hey, we're here to help you, but you're gonna have to help yourself too. And I truly believe if I teach a student how to look for their mail, how to research a lost package, how to call their mom and say, hey, what day did you put it in the mail? And then maybe check with the post office and say, hey, I had a package coming from this zip code coming to this zip code. How many days does that take? I figure I believe if I train you to do that, then I won't have to continue to explain to you why your package or your mail is not here. I remember a funny story with a student who wanted some color copies one time. She came in, she had a piece of paper with, and it was a drawing. She said, I want to put this on a sheet of paper. Now she's holding a sheet of paper in her hand. I said, it's already on a sheet of paper. She said, yes, but I want to put it on another sheet of paper. I said, okay, so you want a copy? She said, no, I want to put this on a sheet of paper. So I had to bring her in my office and explain the whole copying process to her so that she wouldn't make that mistake on in any other shop or campus or anywhere else. And so once I explained to her, I said, a copy is that. It will be the same thing on a different sheet of paper. They won't be on the same. So she understood it then, but she was upset with me when I kept saying, so you want a copy? She said, no. So that's how it is working here. You have to teach. You have to teach. And once you teach them and hopefully they get it, they won't have to continue to be told.
That's that critical thinking. I mean, that's, what part of the college experience is learning how to problem solve and, work through things that will serve them well as they move through their lives, and not just in print, although hopefully you're also, reeling some of them into the print industry about how awesome it is.
I don't know about that one. With the look on my face, they're probably like, I don't want that woman's job. I start working on that though.
And start, just sort of, slipping it into conversation occasionally about how great print is.
Yeah, look, I need a designer. That's what I'm gonna start slipping into their conversation. Yes.
So you mentioned that, retirement obviously is off the table for the moment. But what does the future look like for you when you think about the next, 10, 15 years? What do you envision for yourself? Do you, is the director where you're going to stay? Or do you see yourself as chancellor someday?
No. Well, the first thing you said was 10 or 15 years. I know I told you my kids' age, so it's not like I'm young. So I pray I'm still alive.
Still, you got plenty of years. You got like 30 or 40 left in you.
Oh, wow. I don't even know if I want that many. But I plan to be alive for once, for one of them. But I eventually I will go home, but until then I will continue to grow. I would like to leave the printing services on our campus better than what I found it. I think it already is, but better than what it is today. I would like I like to be able to offer training, even if I'm not here, if it's something that someone wants to know, feel free to call me. If I can help you, I want to help you because we're in a really small community. And you have to venture way out. You have to have the funds to do that. And so that's some of the stuff that I really, 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 that's priority for me. But the other thing is just hanging out with my husband. He retired this past one of these months. He retired a few months back.
You're already blanking it out.
He retired in April and last year, and I think he's beginning to be lonely, but I'm not rushing home because he's probably wanting me to do yard work or something with him, so I'm not doing that. But other than that, watching my grandkids grow, watching them become productive citizens in this world, and doing their very best. I have some really, really, really good grands, and I'm proud of them. And I pray that I'm around to see these young adults. These 11 become, and probably more by then, probably. But these 11 at least become these productive adults that give to society. And I'm looking forward to that. And I pray that they do their very best. Their very best. That's what I strive for.
It's really all you can ask for in life is,
Mhm.
just find something you're passionate about and then do your best.
Right, exactly.
So if you could kind of give one piece of advice to, especially to young people who are considering a career in print or in implant, that are kind of, where you were all of those years ago when you were getting your first, second job, what piece of advice would you give them?
Be ready for change. Embrace it. Don't think what you know today will be there tomorrow, because it will not. And always be looking for what the new, how you can move differently throughout a print job or in your shop. But yeah, embrace the new. I look for being creative. That's one thing about printing that kind of dies. Now, that's what I like about the new generation. They're very creative. They love the stuff that you go like, my age group, I just need us to embrace that. It's a fantastic thing. And that's what I would suggest for anyone coming into this business, is to be ready for the change and embrace it.
Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I love your story, and you are such a pleasure to speak with, and I am so
Thank you.
excited that I can be part of telling your story, and that I got the chance to chat with you again, because
I'm so
it is
glad you guys
never.
thought it would be interesting. I'm boring Barbara.
You are not
That's
boring at all. You're fascinating, and I had so much fun talking to you the first time that I just had to get you on
Thank
for
you.
this as well, because it has been a great conversation, and I am just so very appreciative that you were willing to do this with us today.
Thank you so much for asking.
I want to thank Tony for hosting this episode and Barbara for sharing her story. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Impressions Exchange podcast.